So now we are live back in the Coliseum in Moncton. Been a very eventful day here. We had the pairs short program, the women's short program, and now it's the ice dance short skate, the short dance here tonight, setting up the free dance on the weekend. And here are the required elements for the dance short program. We've got a lot of skaters. We've got an entire field we're going to show you tonight, 14 teams.
Right, so you'll see the beginning stages in the senior competition early on and leading to best in the world Virtue and Moir. So the short dance, remember, it's the old compulsory dance and the original dance that you saw in the Olympics combined. So there are some required elements, and there's also some compulsory dance segments of this short dance.
Final moments of warm-up for the first flight. Let's go through that pattern, shall we, Tracy?
So it used to be there was a compulsory dance, there was original dance, and it extended the competition. So they melded those two into one. So there is a free portion of the short dance where the skaters can then just play with the music, which is a cha-cha, rumba, samba, mambo, or merengue. But there is a required portion and a very, very strict pattern. Here it is, starting at 1. And it covers half of the ice. The steps are set, cannot be changed. See the number 3 there that's lit up in red? That's a key area of the dance that the technical specialist will be zeroing in on to make sure it's technically precise. And now as we proceed through number 10, 11, 12, this is the key area for me, and this is where the dancers have the most difficulty. One of the toughest steps in skating, the Choctaw. Try doing it together, hip to hip, making it doubly difficult, very interesting. The skaters do half a pattern, and then later in the dance, they must repeat the pattern in reverse. It can be back to back, or it can be within the program. It may sound a little confusing now, but you'll get it once you see it all laid out here at center ice.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first competitors representing British Columbia Yukon. Please welcome Larissa Panas and Troy Schindel.
Here they are, first out of the gate tonight, Larissa Vanas and Troy Schindel. A couple of 19-year-olds in their second season together. Competed at the Junior Nationals a year ago. They finished in 11th position.
Here's a look at our opening required element, twizzles. Skaters spin, slightly bent knee, must be a uniform knee. Varying degrees of difficulty, and that's a really tricky portion of the dance.
Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have the magic technique. When we sway, I go weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins.
They are coached by Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe, who are coaching now at the Center of Excellence in BC, and they're doing a terrific job. They have some fine junior and novice teams, 3 senior teams. So here's a look at the compulsory sequence. This is the rumba compulsory dance. Watch this step coming here. Stepping on the left on a deep inside, and they both must step on a back outside edge. If one of them puts their blade down slightly incorrectly, it can make a difference in 2, 3 points in the end result. Oh, a nasty fall. Why is it so nasty? Not only did she go down and take a point deduction, this is a required element, so it just sets a chain reaction. Lower technical degree of difficulty. Remember, this team was 8th in juniors last year. This is a big step up to seniors. Here, the Choctaw did a nice job of handling the edges on this compulsory portion.
Little Dean Martin for you. Started off tonight. Larissa Van Ass, Troy Schindel will get their score. That will be the benchmark to start things off tonight here in Moncton. Champs have arrived. Olympic gold medalists. World champions 2 years ago. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir. The Stars. They will skate in the final flight. And some of the more inexperienced skaters, there's Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe, the former bronze medalists in Canada. Mama and Papa over the last year. And now coaches out west. Here's the number 38.52.
And they are doing a terrific job as coaches, developing ice dance in Canada, particularly in BC.
They've got 3 senior teams here, so they're busy on the boards. Anushka Richiaviu, Philippe Marseille, Quebec contingent, well represented as you would imagine. And that's been together 5 years. Their goal is to get into the top 10 here.
They did not make it to nationals last year in the junior level, and this is their first time out in seniors. They're skating to collections of mambos and a rumba. And here's a look at their first sequence. It's right in front of the judges. Skaters have to twizzle in both directions, and it actually looks easier than it is, Rod, because you've got to be in unison and you got to go your good way and your bad way with equal ease. If you think about it, you're toast. You just have to go right through. See this portion here where they are not touching yet doing difficult footwork. The difficulty is in the edges, trying to keep the flow. The better teams go faster, more difficult turns. But what I like about this team is really the way they're using the music, weaving it into the elements. Second pattern here, and you see they're in a Killian position and really working there to get the edges in unison.
And again, some of these earlier teams are a little rough around those edges, but this is what this is about, going to the national championships.
For these teams, it is. It's about living a balanced life. Many of them university educations, full-time university students working on the side as ice dancers, and really, mission accomplished. They're here at Nationals.
Later to come, the best in Canada, including Virtue and Moir and Weaver and Poirier. Fresh steps, first steps at the senior level. Anushka Ritchie-Avieu and Philippe Massé. Here are the numbers. Score to beat, 38.52. They do 39.02. Currently in first place.
Anushka and Philippe are currently in first place. En première place. The next competitors representing Central Ontario, please welcome Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier.
We talked about the inexperienced teams early on in the early flights. Well, Paul Poirier has oodles of experience. Canadian champion last year with Vanessa Crone when Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir could not skate because of injury. And Paul Poirier is now teamed with Piper Gillis, American skater, and forming a new partnership here. So their first foray at the senior nationals.
Hey, yo, B, what up, A? What we want? Want them to say.
Ice dance, the only discipline, of course, with lyrics in competition, opening with Beyonce and Alicia Keys. Right away, you feel their speed, how close they are together. Look at the beautiful leg extensions as they curve through their rumba portion. The hours and the years, evidence in their proficiency here. Here's their circular step sequence. Of course, they have no experience together, so we're seeing them in the opening flight. And their competition will come in the flight at the end of the night. How closely they skate together. Here's their second pattern of the rumba. Slight problems there on the second portion of that dance. And the scoring of that, ruthless, as I said. Nice job on the twizzles.
Very authoritative.
Paul and his former partner, Vanessa Crone, grew up together and then grew separate ways. And so made the change last spring.
Now that change caught a lot of people by surprise. Paul Poirier then found Piper Gillis, and here they are. Kind of out of place in this early flight because they can put some numbers up.
Yeah, but they're fresh, a lot of energy. I really like that. Was the debut. I liked it.
A year ago, Paul Poirier was a Canadian champion in ice dance with Vanessa Crone. Again, no Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir because of injury a year ago. And now this is a new team, and they've done very well here in their debut.
Lots of personality, and there is the rumba section where they're weaving the edges, and I'm really impressed with how they handled this. Of course, Paul has a ton of experience, a Canadian champion, Olympic team member, and they're bright. They've got a lot of personality.
Piper skated at the U.S. Juniors with Zach Donahue. She could compete for Canada someday at the Olympics if she gets Canadian citizenship, which she plans on working towards. That's a good number, 62.78.
It's a season's best by about 4 points.
And that is a number that, of course, we will see a little bit later tonight. Up in the 60s for Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier.
Veuillez accueillir Mélissande Dumas et David McKay-Perry.
Here's Mélissande Dumas, David McKay-Perry from Quebec. Another brand new tandem, just together 7 months. So a lot of fresh faces here tonight, and I would imagine that butterflies are free in a lot of those stomachs. Nervous time skating at your first seniors.
Well, right off the top, I like the way these two match. Their bodies seem to balance each other very well. Concentrating here on the edges and turns of this step sequence. And in dance, that's the only time they're allowed to separate for any length of time, and that's so that the judges can assess them as individuals.
Do you like this concept with the short dance now?
I'm still getting used to it. I think it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I preferred last year's with the Golden Waltz. It seemed more seamless. This is a little bit strict, where you go into this severe dance hold and then break out of it. So the combination of the two doesn't work as well this year as I thought it did last year, but it's still really early going, and they're fine-tuning. We may see some more changes in this dance leading into Sochi.
Again, for the newbies out there, they used to skate 3 portions, 3 programs: the compulsories, the original dance, then the free dance. Now just 2 programs, like the rest of the disciplines.
And you can see the concentration on their faces. This twizzle section, shoulders high, that doesn't help. You gotta stay calm, you have to stay into the blade.
Very green team.
Very green and a very difficult program. A short dance, it's one required element after the next. Switching in a compulsory dance. These teams in the early going have their hands full with this material.
Kaylin Weaver and Andrew Poirier. Second at the Nationals last year. Competed at the Grand Prix final. In 4th place. They will skate last year tonight. Again, we're going through the early flights. Dumas and McKay-Perry.
And that's Sean Winter on the left, their coach, and their other coach who's not in the picture, Elise Hamill. They have the junior champions of Canada who won that title yesterday. Quite an accomplishment. Congratulations to their coaches.
So 1 flight down. Scott Virtue warming up backstage. They will lead the final flight. The Olympic champions still ahead. Thank you, Brian. Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier in that first flight, the current leaders. So we go to flight number 2. We have 5 dance teams on the ice. Now, Tracy, earlier tonight, you brought back a few memories with you and Rob skating. And I want to ask you, go back to Moncton back in '85, and the difference, obviously, in format in ice dance, but maybe also the differences in ice dance period from now to then, and how your dance would compare to the dancers of today. What's the big difference for those who aren't really as, are new to the sport?
I'll tell you the difference, dance now and then, is the sport aspect. And what I find so interesting when the new rules came in, there are some detractors saying, well, it's too rigid. It takes away some of the artistry of the skating. But what it does do is deliver the sport. So in my day, when I competed in ice dance and I went to an Olympic Games, 90% of the questions for me were, do you think this is a sport? Well, I didn't hear that question once in Vancouver. Nobody questions, is figure skating, is ice dance a sport? What they're doing and what they are required to do is much more difficult now than it ever was, and it's bringing out the best in the dancers.
And the best in Canada is still ahead as the ice dance short program continues. Here comes the middle flight here tonight, the dance short program. Again, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier are the current leaders. 62.78, the number to beat. Tessa Virtue, Scott Moir, Caitlin Weaver, Andrew Poirier, and the rest of the best in the final flight. A lot of teams, though, skating for position here, looking to make the national team, skating for experience. Jazz Smil-Jolly and Nicholas Yashonik representing Alberta.
They have only competed together once. Very new team. Again, we're seeing a number of them. They trained in Texas.
Jazz is from St. Paul, Alberta. Nicholas from Wadsworth, Ohio, outside of Cleveland. So another American-Canadian free trade partnership.
And we talked about the difference between dance then and now. It used to be that you could have a really good female partner and the man could be weak and just skate around on 2 feet, which is why this required element was brought in. They want to make sure that both skaters are equally strong and proficient, and that they can stand up on their own, don't need to be supported in order to do the difficulty.
Is that I look into your eyes, I said something's so sincere in your disguise. You whisper secrets I hear only in my dreams. Then I wake up to your daddy's smoke screen. I wait patiently.
Twizzle section, they're getting a lot of distance between them and right out of sync. And that's a costly mistake for them. Got to get right back together as they're in the compulsory portion of the dance, the rumba. And as this competition progresses, you'll start to see a little bit more of the artistry and the subtleties of these dances brought into the choreography and the interpretations of the skaters. But again, the difficulty presented to these earlier new teams makes it very tough to perform, express, and get the job done technically.
You know what makes it tough as well? That brace that Nicholas has on his right hand. They ran into another team 2 weeks ago in training. He opted for a brace instead of a cast. So that has to certainly be a factor here.
Makes it very awkward, Rod.
You'll never win. That's what you give me, so won't you give my love a chance?
First team in the second flight, Jazz Smil-Jolly and Nicholas Yashonik.
Again, both university students working their craft and their hobby on the side.
Tara Harvey and Keith Gagnon will be in the final flight tonight, competing in their 11th Canadian Championship. Another part of the stable that is coached by Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe.
Hi, everyone.
There's Jazz Smil-Jolly and Nicholas Yashonik.
Dallas and Ottawa and Edmonton and St. Paul and
They have to say a lot of hellos because
everyone.
Nicholas from Ohio to Boston to Texas, went to, as you mentioned, some university at Dallas, Texas, college courses, and Jazz Smil-Jolly out of Alberta. She attended Carleton University. You got to travel a long way sometimes to find partners.
And they also often do their search on Facebook, and there's Tessa backstage getting ready for her moment out here, and they have revamped their short dance somewhat after the Grand Prix final, working to take on the world champions Davis and White, their teammates, and this is the first step to that end.
World Championships, of course, on the horizon in Nice, France, and everybody looking ahead to Sochi, Russia in 2014 as well. And Tessa and Scott, of course, were not at the Nationals last year
The scores
because of
please,
injury.
Jazz Smil-Jolly and Nicholas Yashonik. The short dance score, 31.6.
This team now in 5th position.
31.6. Jazz and Nicholas are
Canada,
currently
United
in
States partnership.
5th place, en 5e place.
And something to build on here.
The next competitors representing Western Ontario. Please welcome Olga Lubinovich and Benjamin Mulder.
Olga Lubinovich and Benjamin Mulder from the Kitchener-Waterloo Skating Club. Second time around for these two.
Well, they skated together in 07 and 08 and pre-novice and novice levels, and then they decided to team up with different partners, but now back together at Senior Nationals. They train with Paul McIntosh, who was the original coach of Virtue and Moir. What I love about the teams that he works with is right off the top, you know, see their smoothness, and that comes from the deep skating knee. Here's the rumba portions, deep inside edge, back outside edge. Nice job. Watch here, they have the deep knee, the skating knee, but they also have a nice leg extension, the free leg, the leg that is in the air. And that leg, if you really work it properly, reaching low and along the ice, it sort of helps to steer your edges and helps to control them. It's all part of the technical part of skating. Here, stepping down on a back outside, and you can see the bodies wobbling just a little bit. Now we're seeing, starting to see a little bit of the flavor of the Latin rhythm. Here's the twizzle section. You can see them thinking through it.
Russian-born Olga Lyudvinovich, Ben Mulder, Kitchener-Waterloo Skating Club.
You could see their sense of line of the dance, a little bit of the Latin expression coming through.
Virtue and Moir, the Canadian Idols, backstage. They will skate first in the final flight, still ahead.
Paul McIntosh, a coach there, and Rebecca Babb.
Lyudvinovich and Mulder. And she was born in Russia, lived there until 7, and then came to Canada.
Look at these dances are hard enough on the floor to do properly, let alone taking it out on the ice.
Yeah, but that's one. Where's the other one?
I think they handled it well, and I liked to see that they did bring some of the flavor of the dance in.
This is one of the good times that skaters don't have their names on their uniform.
Yeah.
Shanna Renee de Cotteret-Laporte, the longest name in skating. And Alexandre Laliberté from Quebec. Another one of the neophyte teams here, put together over the last few months. And it goes to be said, you got to start somewhere.
Well, no question. When you're a new team, often, though, the tension goes into the shoulders, the arms, which affects the hold. And you can see here how they're gripping on with their left hand. The teams in the later flight, you'll see it'll be an easy, soft hold. They'll be able to move within the hold. The other challenge with ice dance, because of all the holds, that everything one skater does affects the other skater. And so if you get slightly off balance or you're holding on too tightly, it really can show up then on your partner, and it goes back and forth, creating a lot of tension. See the distance between them here, again showing their newness. But watch the skating blade on the ice. They're trying to create, we talk about the edges, it's the deep curves that you create on the ice. And these turns, they make them look quite easy, are not. That they performed that well, Rod. They really gave it their best in that. You know, and if you can get out there and compete and actually enjoy it, hey, you won the game.
Good on you. Shanna Renee de Cotteret-Laporte, Alexandre Laliberté from Quebec, Boucherville Skating Club.
So we talk about the edges. Remember, they're the curves that the skaters make on the ice. And, you know, the more speed you have, the more speed the skaters have, the more you have to weave and curve it to fit it into the ice surface. Here's a look. They were just doing their 1 foot section there. But the teams coming up, the curves will be deep and circular. much more difficult to control the speed, control the curves,
Charlotte and Alexandra are currently in second place. En deuxième place.
Second place right now, de Contre La Porte La Liberté, 42.60. And again, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier, 62.78. That will stand up for a while. Here's Nicole Orford and Thomas Williams. They are the reigning Canadian junior champions, only second year in their partnership. And again, part of the Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe 3 dance teams that they have here. Orford and Williams representing BC.
And this is the only team in the competition that competed on the Junior Grand Prix circuit. And it's interesting because this is a brand new short dance. The junior international skaters have to do a whole different short dance. So this is a very new program for them. Right away, you can see their ease of movement. Watch their upper bodies. Dancing the rumba portion, not just getting through. Lovely foot line, the free leg in the air. Junior champions of Canada last year. They were 8th at the Junior World Championships. This year, they won a Junior Grand Prix in Austria. Good ice coverage, ease of movement, and you get the character of this dance easily throughout their performance.
Mas eu gosto de dançar você comigo. Assim esqueço o dia a dia e gosto mesmo de dançar você na minha. Baila, baila comigo, baila, baila meu amor. Baila e mexe comigo, e assim esquecer baila melhor. Baila, baila comigo, baila, baila meu amor. Baila e mexe comigo, e assim esquecer baila melhor.
Nicole Orford and Thomas Williams. Social media responsible for these two getting together. She reached out looking for a partner. She found Thomas on Facebook. The rest is history. Thank goodness for Facebook, Tracy Wilson.
Brought these two together, coaches Megan and Aaron, and well, this team is a very well-matched team. They're fluid, they're graceful in their second year together, junior champions. Watch the rumba section. Look at the blades, how they hit the ice clearly on the deep inside edge, there to a deep outside, back to the inside. Such a difficult part because your hips and feet go one way and your upper body goes the other way. So everything's sort of contradiction to the position. One top against the bottom. They worked it very, very well. And that's a personal best for them this year, 56, a brand new program. Remember, their junior program that they competed all year was a whole different tempo. So that was an exceptional performance for them here.
Well skated for Orford and Williams, currently in second place.
Ontario, Please welcome Hélène Letourneau and Kevin Boxar.
Hélène Letourneau and Kevin Boxar. There may be better ice dancers than Kevin Boxar out here, but there are not smarter ice dancers. This guy borders on a genius. He is going to be a doctor someday.
Well, he's won awards left, right, and center. Highest scores, university, entrance to university. And he says the skating is what brings the balance to his life.
Kevin is in his second year of medicine at the University of Ottawa. He was awarded the prestigious Chancellor's Scholarship when he went to Carleton. Then he won the Chancellor's Award to the student with the highest marks in the graduating class at Carleton. Imagine all of that and still balancing your life with skating.
Helen goes to school as well, and they've skated together for 5 years.
Suavemente, besame. I love what you're doing to me, but keep it suavemente. Besame, besame, besame otra vez. Quiero sentir tus labios, besándome otra vez. Besa, besa, bésame un poquito. Besa, 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 bésame otro ratito. Kiss me softly, you're all that I need. Tonight I want you to come home with me. Baby, when I look at these sexy eyes, makes me wanna kiss you to the sunrise. Kiss me one time, kiss me 2 times, kiss me again.
A little bit of a slip up there. Got nice flow across the ice, Rod. See, working the curves here, and the skaters really try to work the rhythm of the skating knee up and down to help keep the speed going. The rise and fall of the skating knee, so important to generating speed and keeping the flow going, especially in the dance.
So often we celebrate the stars in skating, the ones who win and win often. This is a team we can celebrate the purity of amateur sport and what it's all about.
And we've seen a lot of those teams here. Happy to be out here competing at Canadians for the sake of skating.
From the Ottawa area, 20-year-old Hélène Letourneau, 22-year-old, the future doctor Kevin Boxar.
Hat, UO meds, attitude check.
All the meds, the University of Ottawa.
Mary and Grandma, Caitlin Lowback, and all the synchronized skaters.
And again, we talk about balance so often. Could you imagine what they have to do to get to this level, to get to any level, to get to a national championship in any sport? How much work you have to do, plus school?
Well, he swears by it and says it's exactly the release he needs from the gruel of studying.
37.21.
Here are their marks. Currently in 8th place. They have the free dance and then back to school. So one flight still to come here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will
Piper Gillis, the American, and Paul Poirier, last year's Canadian ice dance champion with Vanessa Crone. That won't happen this year because Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir are here and healthy.
And Weaver and Poirier are here and skating very, very well as well.
So one flight to come, 5 more dance teams, and the best of Canada, the best in the world, still to skate here tonight. Time to grab a refreshment. We'll catch you on the other side. Final flight at the Nationals dance short program next.
And on this Friday night, we are live at the Coliseum in Moncton, New Brunswick. And if you are just joining us, good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome back to Moncton and TSN and CTV's continuing coverage, extensive coverage of the 2012 Canadian Figure Skating Championships. Still to come tonight, Tessa Virtue, Scott Moir, the final flight for the short program for ice dance. I will be joined in just a minute by New Brunswick native Sean Sawyer. Last year at the Canadians, his free dance to the Mad Hatter, absolutely spectacular, set the table for Patrick Chan. He did win a silver medal, Sean Sawyer did. He'll join me in just a minute tonight. But right now, let's rejoin Rod Black and Tracy Wilson.
Look at that schedule. Brian, you might as well stay there for the entire weekend.
I'm sleeping here.
We'll bring you food.
Congratulations, Brian Williams, by the way, on your Order of Canada. Well deserved.
Thank you.
As we get ready now for the final flight for the ice dance competition, we have been looking at a lot of skaters, quite honestly, who don't have a lot of experience at the senior ranks. And you get your experience by coming to a nationals or a junior championship, which went on here last night, as a matter of fact, in the ice dance competition. And you get a sense of what is to come for a lot of these young ice dancers.
Well, for the junior teams, and these are the highly competitive junior teams, I don't think you could get a better competition than you got in the championships here. Of the top 7 teams, there was less than a 2-point difference between 3rd and 7th. And I talked to some judges after the event, and they were blown away by it and the quality of the ice dance. And it came from across the country: Quebec, BC, Alberta, and Ontario.
Keep in mind, this is where Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir began in the junior ranks, and that's where you began. And all the great ones had to go through the ladder. And here's Madeline Edwards and Zhao Kai Pang, students of Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe. They finished in 2nd place. Again, so close, from 1 to 7 and 3 to 7. And here is Adrienne Poulin and Marc-André Servant-Vaudreuil. They were the gold medalists, the Canadian Junior Ice Dance Champions.
From Quebec, and they're coached by Elise Hamill and Sean Winter. And again, a wonderful event. Congratulations has to go out to all of the ice dance in the junior category, and we will see these guys duking it out for top spots at the senior competition next year.
And also the bronze medalists, Noah Bruiser and Timothy Lum, again part of the Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe growing camp of ice dancers. Sarah Orleski had a chance to catch up with the gold medalists.
Well, congratulations. I'm joined now by Andriana and then Marc-Andre. Can you tell me, what is it like when you're standing up there and you hear your name called and you're able to think to yourselves that you guys are national champions?
It just feels really good. I mean, we've been in junior now for 3 years, and we've just been working so hard, and it's just all out there now, and it feels great.
You were in 6th place at Skate Canada in December. What is it that's changed, or what did you work on and try to improve in order to be able to get this finish just a month and a half later?
Well, we've really worked on our approach of the competition as the situation, and I think we just have to have fun and just enjoy the moment. And I think we were just too serious in the beginning, and now we're just kind of lighthearted about the competition as a whole.
And Marc-Andre, did you enjoy the moment when you were out there?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's nothing like it. Just to go out and compete, it feels great.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on your national championship.
Thank you.
Adriana Poulin, Marc-André Servant-Vaudreuil, the junior champions of Canada. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir did not compete last year at the Nationals, looking to dance back to the top in their country, get back to the Worlds.
And as we come back live to Moncton, there is Caitlin Weaver and her partner Andrew Poirier. They will be the final skaters tonight. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir will lead the last flight coming up shortly. And right now I'm joined by the athlete ambassador for this event, Sean Sawyer, one of the great skaters, along with Hugh Yuk from this province of New Brunswick. You're a 4-time medalist, silver medalist from last year.
Yeah.
Take us back to last year. You had that Mad Hatter skate, spectacular skate, really set the stage, I think, in many ways for Patrick Chan.
Yeah, last year was all about a new beginning and the ending of my career. I've always been very artistic. I've always had a lot of crazy ideas what could be done on the ice, and last year my Mad Hatter program was what I needed for closure as an amateur skater. And even now, if I look back at the video, I still get goosebumps.
But you talk about closure. That wasn't necessarily in the picture when you won it, because you're named to the Worlds in Japan, and then what happened?
Absolutely. One of the reasons why I came back and why I decided to do the Mad Hatter program was to compete at the Japan World Championships. And when all the event that happened, the
tsunami.
Yeah, I just felt that there was a part of me that wasn't going to be fulfilled. And when I got my Stars on Ice contract at the same time as they said that World were going to be postponed to Russia. And then I had to decide if I end my amateur career at Worlds or start my professional career with Stars on Ice. And I've always said a new beginning is better. So.
Let me quote Barb Strain. You know her. She's our researcher, the guru of figure skating. She says, Sean went out on his terms, on top, when it was tempting to stay and go to Russia. Is that fair?
That's fair. That's exactly what happened. Last season was all about myself. I wanted to come back, I wanted to compete again, and I made all the decisions. And so far, I think I made all the right decisions.
Very quickly, you're still with Stars on Ice. Are you coaching?
Yes, I'm coaching. I actually have an athlete here. He's in senior men, so I'm still part of the senior men event. He's brand new from the junior circuit. He's here for experience, and if somebody has experience, it's me. This is my 15 national championships.
Well, you know what? I think you made the right decision last year, because you look relaxed and you look happy, at peace with what you decided.
I'm back home. I'm in New Brunswick, so of course I'm going to feel good.
Good to see you back home as the athlete ambassador. We'll take a break. Still to come, the final flight in the dance short program featuring Tessa Virtue, Scott Moir, Caitlin Weaver, and Andrew Poirier. Thank you, Sean. Back live in New Brunswick after this.
We are back live at the Coliseum in Moncton. The final flight. Guess who's back? Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir. They will launch our final flight. Olympic champions, former world champions, finished second at the Worlds last year. And of course, most of last year was all due to injury, so they have a fresh start. Tessa Virtue is healthy again. That's the key for the 3-time Canadian champions.
And they have just looked in fine form this year, but the only cloud on the horizon is they did lose to Davis and White at the Grand Prix final in head-to-head competition. And the trouble began on the short dance, when Scott had an uncharacteristic stumble. I love their short dance because it brings to light what they do better than anybody else in the world, and that's the way they dance and their sense of line, the way they move their bodies and make it look absolutely effortless with blades on.
Could you imagine the atmosphere every single day when they go to practice with Merrill Davis and Charlie White?
Oh, terrific. And what a fine team Davis and White are, and how fortunate for both of these teams that they're together, training together day in and day out. The pressure just doesn't let up.
Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier, they have come a long way in a short time.
Yeah, well, this is a team that missed going to the Olympic Games by less than a point, and they just kept going back and honestly taking a look at themselves, asking respected friends in the field of skating, what do we do, what do we need to do, trusting in their coaches, and they've had some really good coaching and direction. Excellent choreography. They just have not given up. They've been relentless. And what they used to do was hold back in competition. We'd watch them win practices, so to speak, but then they'd go out there and just pull back from the performance. And I feel that this year, and especially at the World Championships when they were 5th, that gave them the confidence that they needed, and they've taken it out and run with it this year in competition.
Make no mistake, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir can't make mistakes because Weaver and Poirier are right there. Two of the best ice dance teams in the world will be on ice next. Last few moments for Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir.
There's their coach, Marina Zueva, our choreographer, and they also work with Igor Spielband. And they truly bring the rumba, the Latin rhythm to life. The rumba is referred to as a vertical expression of a horizontal wish, and nobody does that better than Tessa and Scott.
I like that. Let's go down to Sarah Arleski now.
Well, thanks, Rod. Earlier on tonight, Tracy briefly made mention to the fact that we're going to see some new elements in Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir's dance. They have decided to change the lifts as well as some of the footwork and connecting steps surrounding those lifts. This was a change that they've made in both programs following the Grand Prix final. So this is the first time that anyone will get to see this. Moir told me that it was, although exciting, also daunting when you think about how the Grand Prix final was in the middle of December and we're now just in January. You add Christmas into the mix. There hasn't been a lot of time, but they were looking to add something new to the program to get some of their marks up as they build towards what is their ultimate goal of this season, of course, and that is to regain their world title.
Yeah, he says he has bulletin board material too. Scott Moir doesn't get upset too often. He was a little peeved after the Grand Prix final.
And that's the beauty of the rivalry. It just pushes you, it gets in your system, and it pushes you to new heights. So they're constantly going to have to fine-tune and up the ante. There's no sitting back on the laurels and just sort of letting it unfold.
Alongside Patrick Chan, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir, the three of them really the three biggest stars in Canadian skating right now. This is their era.
And they will start with a samba, move into a rumba, and finish with a samba. Starting here with hip hip, chin chin. And let's just sit back and watch them move.
The subject for tonight's lecture is rhythm. The subject for tonight's lecture is rhythm. The beat.
Oh my goodness.
Hip hip, chin chin. Hip hip, chin chin.
And a day of the unexpected here.
Russet brandy in a diamond glass. Everything is made from dreams. Time is made from honey, slow and sweet. Only the fools know what it means. Temptation. Temptation, temptation, I can't resist.
For a team that for so long has made it look so easy, this was a struggle here.
This program so much about the expression and the expression, the rhythm of the body and working the upper body. And I think they just took too much of the energy up, out of the knees, out of the blade, and out of the ice. And when you do that, the little mistakes happen. Just felt like they weren't grounded, and it didn't feel like they were right in sync and into the ice.
Yeah, they've had much better skates, and I guess, you know, that's our expectation. They have been so good, it's been ridiculous. They are on a plane like no other ice dance team. And again, Olympic champions. But when you expect greatness, you don't expect Wayne Gretzky to miss a wide open net or, you know, a Derek Jeter to miss an easy ground ball. It can happen. It goes to show you that this is human.
Well, first of all, no wide open nets here and no easy ground balls.
No, exactly.
This is what they do is they make the difficult look easy. That's what we're used to from Tessa and Scott. Here's a look at the Twizzles. Remember, I talked about how tricky they are. You can't think, you have to do. And I don't know what happened to Tessa there. It just looked like she started to come out of it too soon. Got right back into the rest of the Twizzles, but they just seemed a little bit out of the knees and up back on their heels a bit in this performance. Look at the curves across the ice here. Look at the edges on the ice. Absolutely sensational. The unison of the free legs, the legs that are in the air. And while they were doing that, they were working the upper bodies. They were working the expression of the heads and the arms. And what they do better than anybody else in the world, they
this
dance.
Stuff.
Yeah,
they dance.
Rumba expression coming from the hips, undulating out. Yeah, that was slow motion. Now, let's just pick up the tempo real time here. You know, hard enough to do that on the floor. Best ballroom dancers in the world they'd be competitive with. Imagine now doing that on the blade and making it look so effortless. That is sensational. And this is where these two are so great for the sport, their versatility. When they take on the dance, they take on the dance. You watch that without the music, you know exactly what they're doing. They don't just have one style that they play on. They use every form of dance.
And the good news for them is that the blemishes here tonight and the big miss on the Twizzles, they can't do it the Worlds, quite obviously, but if you're going to do it, you might as well have it happen now.
And that often will happen with the top competitors at a Canadian championship. You do take the risks. This is where you need to take those risks to get the programs where you want to go. They've made changes, as Sarah has said. But this is the first step on the way to Worlds.
That's not expressions we're used to seeing. From Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir, they're in first place. But there is an opening here, and Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier could skate through that, dance through that a little later. Tara Harvey and Keith Gagnon. Fifth at the Nationals last year. 7th at Skate Canada this year. Vancouver skaters with Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe.
Yeah.
Kiss me on the lips. 9. Run your fingers through my hair. 8. Touch me.
They were second in the juniors at Nationals, 08 and 09. This is their third time at the senior level. Biggest challenge for these two is their lack of height difference. Very similar in height, makes lifts more difficult. Also makes the matching lines harder to hit.
besos son tus labios, me pregunto qué me has dado. Dímelo muy despacito, todo aquello que tú sientes que me vuelve tan loquito.
Jumping into their synchronized twizzles. And they too having a little bit of trouble there, the unison.
Tara Harvey, Keith Gagnon. Trying to improve on a 5th place finish at the Nationals a year ago. Their scores and still to skate, Weaver and Poirier here at the Nationals. Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe. Who's looking after the twins tonight?
Mom.
Oh.
Mom's in the hotel. They've got them here, the twins here in Moncton, 3 months of age. So you talked about Tara and Keith wanting to better their 5th place finish at Nationals, and that 5th place is so important because that's a spot on the national team that allows you to get it internationally. It also allows you to get the funding. Here are the Twizzles, hands behind the back, 1 foot in the air, stepping, catching the blade, and they just got a little bit off there and out of sync. And it's, again, very, very tricky, the Twizzles. You do them in your good direction, you do them in your weak direction, and they have to be right on and in unison with your partner.
Scores, please, for Tara Harvey and Keith Gagnon.
But there's so many hidden difficulties in this short dance, and that is what you're seeing here in competition. It's no room for error, one element after the other, each element very difficult.
The next competitors representing Central Ontario. Please welcome Karis Ralph and Asher Hill.
Karis Ralph and Asher Hill, the 4th-ranked team last year, Canadian Championships.
And they'd like to hit the top 3 here because that would mean a spot, obviously, on the podium, but also a trip to the World Championships. 3 ice dance teams will compete in Nice at the end of the season for Worlds. Lots of speed here. Going into their circular step sequence. Expression looking very confident. Very little tension on the blade. Twizzle section here. Again, slightly off, won't affect the level of difficulty. Here's a look at their compulsory portion, the rumba section, deep inside edge. This must be a back outside. The judges will review that part. Looked like she may have stepped onto an inside instead. Their attack throughout this performance. Again, good speed right from beginning to end.
Team that finished 4th last year and after the Nationals struggled with some injury issues. Went to the drawing board in the offseason with more ballet and ballroom study and some aerobics and strength conditioning in hopes of making it to the podium. We have 2 more dance teams to come here in Moncton.
Hey, Daddy.
Harris Ralph and Asher Hill and their coaches Carol Lane and Yuris Razguliev, and those guys are sticklers for making sure that they get the required levels and that they're trained and competition ready. Watching here the rumba section, stepping down on an inside. Does she get down on an outside or an inside? It looks like it stepped onto an inside before flipping over to an outside. And such a small detail, but that can be the difference in a couple of points. Their strength, their flow, their attack, their weakness, the body line. I think they need to get longer free leg extensions to really accentuate what they do. And that's a season's best score for them right now, 58.9.
So 3rd place right now. The worst position they could be by the end of the night would be in 5th place. 2 teams to come here, Virtue and Moir, with their 68.41, and again, a surprising slip in their program has created an opportunity for Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier, who will skate after this team. Alexandra Paul and Mitchell Islam. 2nd year at seniors, 3rd year of a partnership.
And they have had a very, very difficult season, one of injuries. Alexandra was injured this summer. They were behind the game when they went to Skate America, not quite ready. They had a couple of falls in the short dance that has really unnerved them. Then they went to NHK, and in one of the practices, she got stabbed, blade puncture to an artery high in her left leg, more than 20 stitches. Beautifully artistic team, enormously capable, but right now confidence will be an issue after what they've experienced this season. Slower, more subtle approach to this dance. Second pattern of the rumba. first one very strong. Let's see if they can match it here. Look at the beautiful leg extensions. Here they come. Circular step sequence, nice and close together. A little bit of an oopsie there. When confidence is low, you think too much, you second guess yourself, you don't trust it. They've worked hard the last couple of months, they gotta trust the training. Right into the twizzles. Nice.
How good must that feel right now after the year that they've had, the season that they've had, a horrific accident at NHK, the knee injury, all of that. Now they've got a free dance ahead.
Well, that is definitely a performance that they can now build on. Rod, it's exactly what they needed.
Coming up, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier. Can they be the leaders heading into the free dance? We'll find out.
I did the undercut and my boot hit the ice.
Alexander Paul and Mitch Islam. Mitchell comes by his talent honestly, doesn't he?
His father, David, is his coach, and Kelly Johnson, also choreographer. I used to skate with both of them. A little bit of an error there in the circular, not touching, but that was the only glitch, and albeit a minor one. A very strong twizzle section to close the dance, and Rod, I like the way they opened it. A soft sell to the rumba. I like these two. I like the way they move. I think they have wonderful unison and line, and as their confidence gains, they'll create moments on the ice. They're very capable of creating that spell and weaving you into it.
68.41 is the score for Virtue and Moir. Paul and Islam won't come close to that, 57-3-0, so they currently are in fourth. Likely to be in fifth heading into the free dance. And now it gets interesting. Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier have a chance here, but they would need a season best.
Please welcome Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier.
68-4-1 is the score from Virtue and Moir, their season best. For Weaver Poirier came at the Grand Prix final, it was 66.24, so they have to do the Grand Prix final and a little better.
Well, they've got some fans in this audience. struggling through the twizzle and finishing them strongly. I love the rhythm of this circular step sequence. Watch the way they work the beat.
Final skaters in what has been a very unpredictable day here in Moncton. So many ways, who would have thought that Virtue and Moir would not have been close to perfect. Slipped on their twizzles. Even with their slip, though, is it good enough to leave them in first place? Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier will have their scores. And see where they will be. Will it be number 1 or number 2? Heading to the free dance tomorrow here at the Nationals. Again, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier would need a season's best score here to take the lead into the free dance. Do you think they're going to get it?
It'll come down to the levels, Rod, and that's a very, very specific technical assessment. A panel of 3 deciding that. Watch the twizzles, and you could see Caitlin off just a little bit, but got right back into sync and finished strongly. And I love the footwork section. I think the rhythm is so great. They pump the skating knee, they get the arm expression, the heads, and really captured the flavor of the dance. Pasquale Camerlengo, an Italian ice dancer who is their coach and choreographer, as well as his wife, Krylova Ostvianikov. And my goodness.
68-7. Very close.
A huge score. That's a season's best for Weaver and Poirier. And virtual tie, but they will finish in second place right behind Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir.
Tessa Virtue, Scott Moir. Do the math on that. It's pretty much a dead heat with Weaver and Poirier heading to the free dance. And of course, Virtue and Moir have their Fred Astaire, Audrey Hepburn, funny face routine set for tomorrow. Weaver and Poirier second. Gillis and Poirier. Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier. What a story. Paul Poirier won the national championship last year with partner Vanessa Crone.
And they were the team that came out early with nothing to lose. There is not a spot for the world team on the line for them because she is not yet allowed to represent Canada. So they came out, skated like they didn't have a care in the world, and that brought the best out in them. What a sensational start for them.
Yeah, not a perfect night, though, for a team that is used to being pretty perfect. Virtue and Moir. Let's go to Sarah.
Scott, Tessa, not necessarily a skate that we're used to seeing from you two. How would you describe what went on out there?
Well, you're right. It wasn't our best skate. Not exactly what I'd been envisioning, but I felt great. I'm not sure exactly what happened on the twizzles, but, you know, we've made a lot of adjustments to the program. I think it's important for us to just get out and test the waters and get some feedback, and we'll go from there and work towards tomorrow.
Scott, Tessa mentioned the adjustments, and that's something that you two have spoken about, lifts, footwork. How much do you think that that's played into it? Are you guys still trying to get a feel for this?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a program that we have changed a lot, and not only just changes, but changes to big elements, and it's a demanding program for us, so we have to be really on our game, but we're building here. We're ready for the next 2 competitions, and this is just a stepping stone, so we're going to take what we can out of this and prove it when we get home.
Thanks so much for this, you two.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was Scott Moir, of course, at the Grand Prix final in the short dance that had the issue, and this time it was Tessa with the twizzle. But you got to like the fact that they're so candid about it, and they understand it. As most of the skaters know, this is, they're mathematicians as well. They know exactly what they need, and it is a work in progress.
Well, and what I like is they don't back away, they don't back down. What they attempt to do out on that ice absolutely blows me away, and it's just not in the technical requirements. It's also the artistry. They are so true to their craft, and if they can just stay the course and just keep pushing through, they will bring true greatness to the sports and to their performance at the World Championships. And yes, a lot of fine-tuning, but that is what's going to bring out the best in them. Again, they do not back down. They are challenging themselves to the max.
But look at the challenge they got tonight from the second-ranked team in Weaver and Poirier, who are with Sarah.
Caitlin and Andrew, you told me that although very happy with it, this wasn't the best skate that you feel you two have done this season, but it must give you a lot of confidence going into the free dance, knowing that you're neck and neck 1 and 2.
Right. I think this is a very solid performance of our short dance. We were very calm coming into this competition, not very nervous, so we're able to put out strong performance. Of course, it can be better. We're aiming to improve at each competition, and I think this is definitely improvement. But it certainly was a shock to see those scores, and we're looking very much forward to the free dance because we love that program.
Caitlin mentioned that there weren't really nerves coming into this. What do you attribute that to? Is it just the type of season that you two have had?
Yeah, I think it has been. We are one of the sole dance teams that actually did 3 Grand Prix this season. So we have 4 competitions under our belt already coming into the national championships, and so I think that's given us confidence and poise to come to the competition, and we've kind of gotten to the groove already, and it just it helped us in this.
Well, thank you for this. It's certainly set up for an exciting Saturday, guys.
Yeah, no kidding. 14 100ths separating Virtue and Moir and Weaver and Poirier. Can't wait for tomorrow. What a day it's been here. Opening day at the 2012 Nationals, full of intrigue and drama.
It has certainly been an interesting day here at the Coliseum in Moncton. Let me wrap it up. Senior women's short, the 16-year-old Caitlin Osman, who skates out of West Edmonton Mall, leading the defending champion Cynthia Phaneuf, a very disappointing 4th. In the senior pairs short, virtually a tie between the top 3. DeHamel and Radford are first, followed by Dubé and Wolf. The defending champions, Moir, Towers, and Moscovich are third, but there's a virtual tie. They are separated by 0.7, and we just saw the senior pairs short here this evening. Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir, the Olympic champions, are first, but again, a virtual tie with Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poirier. Scott Moir and Tessa Virtue at 68.41, Weaver and Poirier at 68.27. That's it for tonight.